Oh,
We're live.
no. We're live.
What's going on, everyone? It's Adam and Craig with Grandstand Golf. In this show, we're doing round 3 DFS Showdown targets for the 2021 WGC Workday Championship. Craig, your boy Hovland got off to a pretty good start on Friday, but I don't know if your formula calculated his ninth hole, his 18th hole on hole 9. Uh, what happened there? I think you got to crunch the numbers again.
Yeah, clearly the process did not capture that. Uh, yeah, I mean that was a mess. It was a disaster.
Yeah,
The thing though, I was so impressed by how he handled it. Like first off,
100%.
being good natured about it, but then also when he was, I don't know if you saw the interview, but where he said that like him being good natured about it is probably a bit of a defense
Yeah,
mechanism
yeah,
because it sucks to do this, and that's the easiest way to deal with it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks for the guy. It sucks for my showdowns today. I still managed to pull out in the black,
Yeah,
but
you're
it definitely could have been a lot better.
What's going on, guys? I think I smell some money making Saturday as well. Craig, I can't say much. I mean, I picked Rom. It wasn't really a contrarian pick or anything, but he had his worst round in a long time. So maybe take my picks with a grain of salt. I don't know. It just somehow I jinxed Rom today and had his worst
Yeah, what was
stretch.
it, 20, 25, 26 straight without
Yeah,
losing strokes?
yeah,
Yeah, as far as who did well, though, I mean, Brooks is looking very good. That
yeah.
bogey, I actually had him in a few, but my top one, I did not have him. So I was kind of happy to see that bogey on the 18th to keep his bogey free round and knock a whole bunch of lineups down past one of mine. But yeah, I mean, it's a great looking leaderboard. What do you think? I mean, it's still so early to me with how packed this leaderboard is.
It's really packed. I mean, Brooks is out there at 11. It's hard to see him when he gets out. It's hard to see him come back. So it's almost up to people to chase him. It just feels like from 1 to T17, like that's a lot of strokes to make up. Like, yeah, Woodland, Hovland Day are in it, but how, like, do they have to go out and shoot 600 both days? Like, how far is Brooks going to continue to push it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two things. I think they've talked about this on the broadcast, but this course really separates. So you can go out there and you stay in the right spot and you get to the right spot on greens. You can make a lot of birdies and you can put up a good
Yeah.
score, but you can also move the other way in a hurry. So I think we'll continue to see this, this lead group. We'll see some people fall off and some people continue to press
Yeah.
forward. We may see, maybe the five unders. There's a few big names there that could chase. I just see it hard to make up. Like with how many people are out ahead, I see it hard for people to come from too far back unless they really go do something special tomorrow to close the gap.
A couple comments on the chat. Ray, I said both on the show and on Discord, I was absolutely no Sergio yesterday or today, I guess, for Friday. So I'm sorry if you went there, but I think everybody or I could see that coming. I mean, I can't handle that stress anymore. I don't think I'm going to go there again in round 3. Barry, glad you were on Morikawa. That was a great round. Loved what I saw from Morikawa.
Yeah, I actually, the ones that I posted in the Discord, I had mentioned that I kept making lineups all night last night and I ended up with Brooks, Morikawa. I also had Scheffler. Scheffler was the one that
Oh
held
yeah,
back my top lineups. Hideki. There's a lot of players down there in that balanced lineup range that as
yeah.
I kept making lineups, they seem to be making their way into a lot of them. So just another reminder, if you're not already, check out the Discord because it's a good place to come chat about these things aside from this half hour a
Yeah,
day.
I think Brandon makes a good point. It feels like a whole new tournament just with, I think, with how much movement there is. The guys fell back, guys came back, Bryson came back in a big way. I think that just shows people that those numbers are possible while everyone was kind of learning, getting their legs under them a little bit on Thursday. So it is interesting to see maybe people can go 6 and 6, like back to back days on the weekend.
Oh yeah, it's also just I think that a tiny little bit of wind makes this course play so tough because how precise you need to be going into the greens, and also how much like a ball rolling on a green the
Yeah.
slightest will then roll 40 yards down a
Yeah.
hill. So any sort of wind makes this course just so
Yeah.
dicey, and it was softer today than it was on
Yeah.
Thursday.
Well, if we look at
But
this,
man, a ton of great names up
yeah.
there.
I was going to say if we flip
Keep
over,
moving forward.
yeah, if we look at the scores here, it went from kind of just under par to 1.11 under par. as I said, our picks, I can put a little bit of that on my shoulders. Even though we got a Bez birdie streak, that's okay. But Rom didn't do
He
well.
also Bez. I had him. He doubled or he moved backwards. He was looking decent for most of the day
And then
because I have him both tournament long and I had some showdown
and
plays with
then
him, and it was looking good on a few tickets.
yeah, and then Day, like Brooks on his last hole, got a bogey and ruined kind of a good 4 under clean scorecard. So that kind of stung a little
Yeah.
bit too. And then we had Hovland drop 4 strokes in the last one. So it was looking really good, but it fell back. It fell back a little bit. A little humbling.
Yeah, I mean, these tournaments like this, there's so much talent. You just have to. I ended up plugging in more showdowns than I usually play, just because I think the combinations are so key. You
Yeah.
can have the right guys, and you really just need to pack in a ton of combos.
Yeah. The other interesting changes for tomorrow, we look at the first tee time is a single. I think it's Andy Sullivan is off at 7:50 a.m. Eastern. So lineups are locking a lot earlier. But we have groups of 2, and they're all off number 1. So it's going to feel, I mean, I was talking to you, Craig, offline a little bit. This is going to be like a calm Saturday. We're not going to have one.
It's like a normal golf weekend day.
I haven't felt this in a while. It feels like it's been a long time since we've had this kind of start.
Yeah, it's gonna feel a little bit sleepy almost.
So this is a matchup I've been looking at closely. I don't know if you have as well, but we got a little wager from our Wednesday show. Zalatoris versus Rose straight up.
Yeah, Rose looked like he was going to be moving a little bit further, and then kind of he did move in the right direction today, but didn't quite do enough. Zalatoris is widening the gap.
Rose is also inches away from a 2 on a par 5 from the big albatross. That would have helped if you got the, but yeah, nice to see.
I mean, it looks like it's a little bit worse in the morning. I'm not putting a whole lot of stock into that. You know, you could say that it advantages the top of the leaderboard, which may make it harder to chase. It depends totally on those gusts. Like the actual wind itself, the wind speed doesn't look that bad at any point there. So it's not going to affect how I build lineups.
The only thing I think leaning on, if there's a theme to my kind of 3 picks here, it's the ball striking so far, hitting the greens in regulation. But also if I'm going beyond the 3 picks, I still am looking at guys that are great around the greens. I think that is required. We saw, I mean, some of the best in the world, like Hatton hit 3 from that low area on that par 5. Like people just, they get in these trouble spots.
It's so much about not getting, about avoiding the bad spots on the course. And it's not even just these green surrounds, but you can see if you go and look back at shot trackers or shot link of players, you'll see they got hit into a fairway bunker and then had to play out, a 100-yard layup shot because they had nothing else. And it really is a course where as soon as you get out of the proper way to play the hole, you're going to be leaking strokes. You can't so these guys are so good that oftentimes they can just recover without it looking like anything. But this course is really punishing, which is great. I'm absolutely loving watching this course as just a golf fan.
Yeah, and as Peck said, it's a great course for the future. I think somehow we got to figure out how it gets on the PGA or USGA
some
rotation.
Sort of regular.
It's
and Roger Johnson. I think maybe we'll get to Kisner not after we get through our picks here, and just chat about them maybe at the tail end of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Throw any names you want to in the chat. But Craig, should we jump into our first pick here, or my first pick?
You got it.
First pick. All right, JT. I'm going Justin Thomas as my first pick. 9,800 on DraftKings seems too cheap. He won 73, 66, 5 under, 13 birdies, 6 bogeys, 1 double. It was kind of both on the show and in our Discord yesterday where, he ended with 3 birdies in his last 4. Like, did he find his irons again? Is this did JT kind of get off that, turn that corner that we're looking for him to do? So in his last 22 holes, going back to those 4 and the 18 today, he's 9 under in his last 22 holes. That's with, I think, still with 3 bogeys or something today. Like he went absolutely fire with the amount of birdies he has out there. I think he's tied for second in the tournament with 13 birdies, only behind Brooks, I believe, who has 15. So what has he done through 2 rounds? He's 71st stroke gain off the tee, minus 5.9. He's T69 in driving accuracy. So he's hit 50% of his fairways. He's just not getting off the tee right now. So if he can, go to the range, go with his dad, figure out what the problem is with his driver, or maybe he has to dial down to a 3-wood. I don't know what it is. But if he can find more fairways, he can attack these pins. He's third strokes in approach. This is exactly what we like to see from JT. This is exactly how he attacks a golf course. Plus 3.5. And then kind of where I would expect or would like to see him, 21st strokes in putting, +1. It's kind of right where he is, a little bit behind. So he can improve on that, but it's not worrying or it's not super encouraging either way. But it's just getting off the tee, and then his elite iron play can kind of set him apart, I think.
Yeah, I do think I'd have to look at this to be positive, but I think he did improve off the tee from round 1 to round 2. He lost a ton of strokes off the tee in round 1, and then he was still negative, but not as egregiously negative.
Yeah.
I have had little bits of him in both Tournament Long and Showdown today, and yeah, I mean he if you haven't been seeing a lot of him on the broadcast, but he's been playing pretty good golf. He just needs to get off the tee box into some sort of position on the fairway.
Well, and even like we see the confidence shift with like Billy Horschel or Kevin Kisner on the greens, or Brooks just being Brooks, the confidence. I feel like the last 22 holes have given JT his swagger or confidence a bit.
Good to know.
Maybe.
I haven't been keeping track of this swagger meter, but speaking of someone who might have a wavering swagger meter, but should have a pretty high one, I'm going Rory McIlroy. I know that I bring Rory up all the time, so I probably have to defend this one a bit. He's 9,500 on DraftKings. He's gone 69.70, -5 on the tournament. You were bragging about the 13 birdies. He's tied with Rory here at 13 birdies. Rory has a few big numbers, or I guess a few ugly numbers in the card. He's made 6 bogeys, a double on a par 5 today. You look at what he's doing. I think really, I mean, with the putter, he's neutral essentially. Off the tee, he's doing his typical thing. If not, he usually gains even more. He's losing a little bit on approach, and his short game's been good. But to me, he's really playing to basically what Rory's floor is.
Right.
The thing that, and I tried to dig up some numbers here because I think that people wonder why I always bring Rory up as a showdown play. And so what I did, if you look at like what do you look for in Showdown? You look for guys that can go off and have big rounds, you know? So I went back and counted the last 34 rounds that a bunch of players had played, and Rory has 9 rounds in his last 34 where he's gained at least 5 strokes on the field. So, you know, on a round like today, that's a 66 on a round like today. Yeah. So that's 26% of the time, over a quarter of the time and we're talking, this isn't Rory in, 2019 into early 2020 when he was just absolutely killing it. This is Rory when we've been seeing Rory struggling. So this is why, like, I didn't play Rory Tournament Long this week, but I'm still gonna smash him in these showdowns because he has so much big game potential. Now, how that compares to the other guys, because I mean ultimately you're choosing between someone and Rory, but DJ is the only other one of the guys up at the top who he also has 9 in his last 34.
Of course, yeah.
JT is next. He's got 8.
Okay.
Xander has 7. But then we're down to Patrick Reed and Bryson both have 5.
Okay.
John Rahm has 3. Finau has 2.
Yeah.
Brooks has 1. I mean, Brooks has not really been himself necessarily over the last 34 rounds. Webb has 0. So, we're talking about guys that really can. If you don't have them in your showdown lineup that round, then you really have no hope.
Yeah.
And so DJ is the only one up there with Rory, I think, over a period of time where DJ's been playing his best golf, and Rory's been playing very, very mediocre for Rory.
Yeah.
So the reason I keep plugging him in showdown is just because he has so much big game go off potential, and we've seen a little bit of that. He just needs to clean it up. He's made 7 birdies one round, 6 birdies the other.
So 2 guys that would be added to that list are Morikawa and Bryson. Barry mentioned Byron.
So Bryson was 5 out of 34.
But they got another one today with their 8 under rounds. And Barry said, buyer beware. There's some weird pricing for round 3. Bryson 8,800. Craig and I aren't going to throw out kind of those huge chalky plays. Those if you think they're going to carry over the momentum, plug them in. They're not bad plays, but we try to.
And I might play those
For
guys, but
sure.
I'm going to play
100%.
them with other
100%.
guys who are going to have low ownership. Because if you plug in Brooks and Bryson and a few other guys that might be in our lineups here or in our picks here, but
I'm
essentially,
mostly
I
looking
think a
for.
lot of people will start at Brooks
Yeah.
or like will start below Rory and JT, and so that's why I still think I'm gonna get a few lineups where
Yeah.
I pay for Rory just on the off chance he has one of these rounds where he goes ham.
My 3 picks are more like the pivots I'm going to make in the GPP. So I'm going to still, yeah, of course I'm going to play Brooks. I'm going to play some Bryson. Like those guys, yeah, they're playing great. I'm going to play some Morikawa, but I'm going to find these pivots as well that I think are good pivots in their price range to have that single lineup that can take down a GPP, which is a
Yeah.
big ask. But hey, we're going to hunt for it.
Yeah.
We're going to go for it.
The big problem and the reason I haven't been playing Rory, I'm gonna move on from Rory here because we need to. Otherwise, we
Yeah.
talk about him for about an hour and a half. But the big reason I haven't been playing him tourney long is because he's had really ugly rounds.
Yeah.
But I don't care about that so much in Showdown.
Yeah.
Obviously, I want him to have the good rounds, but he's still having the good rounds. It's just his ugly rounds are happening more frequently than you want them to right now.
Okay, my next pick.
Okay.
Jason Day. I'm going right back. I usually don't say guys back-to-back videos, but he was on the top of the leaderboard on our second page here, right at the start of the video. He was T for 17 at -4. He had a 4-under round today that was clean until his last hole. He got a bogey, and I still feel like at 7,300, he's not going to be like he's going to go underappreciated. So I'm going to bring him up again. Jason Day, 7,300 on DraftKings. I really like to play. He's gone 71, 69. He's 4-under, 8 birdies, 2 bogeys, 1 double. How does he rank through 2 rounds? So 10th strokes gained tee to green, plus 0.45. This is, classic, what I love to see for Showdown. T3 in greens and regulation, 77%. I think I flex, so I'm just going to let it catch up.
You froze there for a second. You were just saying tied for third in GIR at almost 80%.
Yeah, exactly. Then 54th strokes gained putting, minus 1.62. So I dove into the strokes gained putting. So why is he losing that much? Is it a trend that we've seen recently or a trend that we've seen in this part of the world?
Is he missing putts? Is that the problem?
That is the problem. But he has gained strokes putting in 9 of his last 15 rounds. So it's not a trend thing. And he has won multiple times in Florida on Bermuda Green. So it's not, unfamiliar with this type of grass or with this area. So I think that is something. Yeah, some people have bad putting rounds all throughout the tournament. I think Jason Day can turn it around, if anyone. A savvy vet at 7,300, it just makes a ton of sense again for round 3.
And as a stat, strokes gained putting can be so volatile because you have one drop versus cozy up to it, and it'll swing a full stroke, So it is volatile. I do like yesterday I was going to have him as a play if you didn't, and I'm gonna have him for sure as a play again tomorrow. My next one here. Another Aussie, Cameron Smith. So this is probably the chalkiest guy we have as a pick here. I just wanted to justify why I'm still playing him, even though he is chalky. Essentially, so he's 8,100. He's gone 68, 66. He's minus 10, 12 birdies, 2 bogeys. He's in second place in the tournament. Obviously, he's going to attract a lot of ownership down there. He's been playing really well. So you look at what he's done this week, the putter, the approach, the short game. He's not doing a ton off the tee. He doesn't need to. That's not his game. But he's on an absolute heater right now. So he's gone 6 straight rounds of gaining at least 2.2 strokes gained. And he's got over 3 strokes gained in 16 of his last 33 rounds. So almost half the time over the past. So this will be going back, I think, it goes past the Masters. Okay. So it goes back almost to the U.S. Open, I want to say. But essentially, to me, it's just there's a ton of upside right now, and he's on an absolute heater. So I don't see. So this is where, though, what you need to do is you can't play Cam Smith with Brooks and with Bryson Morikawa. And with, there's guys in the 7s. With Morikawa, there's guys in the 7s who are putting up good weeks so far. You just need to make sure you keep low-owned guys in there with a very highly owned guy like Cameron Smith will be tomorrow. But I'm going to be playing him still, despite the fact that he's chalky.
Yeah, this is a really interesting one, and I was actually kind of surprised that you brought him up when I saw you bring him up. Cameron Smith, 8,100, I feel like that's going to creep into the 30+% owned, possibly in contests. So I don't know if I'm going to get there. I haven't fully built lineups. So I'm not sure where I'm going to end up with my fifth and sixth kind of entry. It just seems
The thing I don't understand is this price to me should be in the high eights. Like it,
yes. Yeah.
he started in the high eights for tournament long, and he's killed it both days. Like I just don't understand why his price, and so like that's why I'm gonna plug it in, is because it just makes sense to me to make this play.
Yeah, I mean it does. I still think maybe the putter is still too hot. I know that kind of like, yeah, of course you want a hot putter. That's how you win golf tournaments. But to me, like it just seems too good to be true. It's like a little desert mirage. I don't know. Like even Cam Smith, I think in his post round interview today was like, he's like, yeah, mate, I don't know how I'm doing it. I'm just like, it's just coming together for me. Like,
But even so, if you watch him, even his putts that don't go in, like he's dropped some bombs this tournament so far, but even his putts that don't drop, they look good. Like his long leg
yeah,
putts, like you're like, oh man, that has a pretty good chance.
yeah,
So I think he's, first off, I think he's just a good putter,
of
but I
course.
think he's just in one of these kind of streaks these guys get into.
I mean, I love him as a player. I love his penguin swag. If we're talking about swag, he's got that penguin swag. He's got the mullet swag. I mean, I'm kind of close to him with a hairstyle here pretty quick. I just have to shave the sides. I don't know. It just, I still don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna get there. I
Yeah,
can't,
that's
I
fine.
can't
Yeah,
stamp it
that's
in the
cool.
show. Maybe I'll go on Discord if I do get there, but I can't
That's cool.
stamp it here.
Okay, last one here for you.
Cameron to Cameron. I gotta get a flyer here for Saturday, and I feel like Cameron Champ is my flyer for Saturday. 6,600 on DraftKings. A kind of sneaky two under. I feel like he's right in that top 30 mix right now. He went 72, 70, six birdies, two bogeys, one double. I think he's tied for second with the fewest bogeys with two bogeys. So he's pretty clean right now through two rounds. How he's doing it. So he's 28 strokes gained tee to green plus 1.45. T3 greens and regulation, exact same as Jason Day.
It's that greens and regulation time got you
It's
again.
that
It's
greens and
it's
regulation. Anyways, he's the exact same ranking as Jason Day. He's got 77% there. 41st strokes in putting, minus 0.58. He improved by over two strokes tee to green today. So I really like that. He improved in his second round. Maybe it's seeing the course again. Maybe that it can improve or carry over into Saturday as well. I just think at 6,600, he's got that power. Maybe he can get to some of these greens, the par fives and two. Maybe he can get some eagle opportunities. It's just that classic showdown, high risk play. I'm not going to plug him in all my lineups, but I like him as kind of that flyer GPP, real cheap, and he can kind of plug everyone else in the eights up there.
yeah. I don't know if I will go there, and I think it's just because I think there's tons of value in the seven. So like I didn't go, I might have gone into the very high sixes with a couple plays for Friday's
Yeah.
round, but I just don't know if I'll go that low. I think I might stay. There's tons of value I think in the sevens, so it depends. I haven't made my lineups yet. I might get there. We'll
The
see.
one other thing I wanted to add, he gained over two strokes tee to green, improved by two, and he still had water ball. He still, I think, on 13, had his tee shot in the water, had to come all the way back to the tee, made double, which is like his par for the first ball. So
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do think if you do want to go down into the sixes, I think obviously Camp Champ always has
yeah,
upside.
yeah,
It's just I don't know if I'm going to structure my lineup that
volatile
way.
play. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So my last one here, another guy who may be a little bit chalkier as well, Louis Oosthuizen. He comes in 7,600. He's got 69, 68, minus 7, 11 birdies, 4 bogeys. He's right in a little cluster there. Him and Kevin
Yeah,
Kisner
right.
and Abe Ancer are all right next to each other. They're at 7. I think Kisner's at 8, and then Ancer's also at 7. So I think all of them will carry ownership,
Yeah,
but I think that will spread it out between
yeah,
those three, I
yeah.
think. So he's had a great putter so far this tournament. He's been good off the tee. His approach has been lacking a bit, but he's been good, really good short game. But that actually meshes up well with what he's been doing coming
Mm-hmm.
in. To me, this is just a pure value play. I think so. So far this week, he started out as a tournament long pay at 7,900, and then he was 8,000 yesterday, and I plugged him in. I still liked him there.
Yeah,
I plugged him into some showdowns. Actually, I think he might have been in my top
yeah,
one. And then he's gone down to 7,600 today.
yeah,
And I just don't understand it. Like there's so much value to me. You compare that to Kisner and Answer, and they started I think Answer was 68 and Kisner was 7,
Right,
and they've
right.
moved the other direction. So I just don't really understand why Oosthuizen is priced the same as them. I think it has to do with what their ownership has been, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure. So essentially, why do I think so? The long term value for Usti is so good. Since last July, he's gained strokes in 75% of his
Yeah.
rounds. In 27% of those rounds, he's gained over 3. So, I mean, this is a little hard because you think about Rory in almost 27%, he's gaining over 5. But Louis, unfortunately, is not
Sure.
Rory. But we'll
Sure.
still take those 3.5 stroke gains on the
Yeah.
field. And the other thing to take into account with those numbers, he doesn't play a whole bunch of soft events. Like, he goes out there and he plays typically in the biggest events with the strongest
Oh
field.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
he does really well against strong fields. And I just think that the value at 7,600 is awesome in my
Yeah, I
opinion.
agree. I mean, I love Usti. He always kind of finds a way. I went back, I think Wednesday night, and added Usti to a lineup. Like he always finds a way. I just love watching him swing. I love watching him at the top of the leaderboard. I love watching him pull a 5-wood at the side of a green and kind of go up and down that way, like
Yeah,
old
yeah,
school
yeah.
player. So yeah, I'll play him a little bit. Would you got a couple?
And I do think also, like what Turtle would say, big head, big star. So
Big head.
big head, big star.
Hit that thumbs up, guys, if you haven't already. Subscribe to our channel. We got 600 subscribers. Thank you for the support over the past couple of months. We love growing this channel, growing it with you guys. All that means a lot to us. A couple questions going back, Craig. I'm gonna throw Kevin Na to you because he was your showdown today. You did really well.
Hmm.
So are you going back for Saturday?
I might plug him in again. I haven't made my lineups yet. I plugged him into a few. I didn't. I'm not gonna plug him into 50% of my
Right.
lineups because he's just too volatile. But I still think he's got the same upside I thought he had yesterday.
I
Um,
agree. Kevin Kisner was the other one. Kisner is oh, there we go. Fourth in putting.
I like Kisner as a play too. I think they spoke about it on the broadcast. Kisner's so comfortable coming back to Bermuda. He didn't even play at all on the West Coast swing because he was just licking his chops for this
Yeah.
Florida swing here.
Yeah, Craig. I think we should retire the WGC and go Puerto Rico Open. If they had those same GPPs, man, we would be raking it in. Thank you, Ray. I see the few DraftKings handle I know from like our Discord and YouTube here. Like I see you guys at the top of the leaderboards, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that I end up above you guys, but
Yeah.
still. And Michael T had brought up Will Z. I don't think Will Z is a good play. I think the guy's a bit of a no. I'm just kidding. I obviously like the Will Z play. I always like the Will Z play. Uh, I think his ownership will be lower. His price was high yesterday. It was like 87, I want to say,
Yep.
and like right next to Webb, and it was a weird pricing. I think a little bit yesterday. But so I didn't plug him in at all for today's round. I say yesterday as like leading into today.
So I'm going to take Barry's
But
comment here, and I'm going to kind of change a little bit to Will Zalatoris. So do you ever take into effect who people are playing with? So, for instance, Will Zalatoris is playing with Bryson tomorrow. I think. Well, also, I going back to my tournament longs, I saw Lowry was with Wolf, and Wolf was kind of like there's an article out. He's struggling, and it kind of
yeah,
showed like it might brought down that group a little bit. But for round three, Zalatoris is with Bryson. Bryson can kind of be all over the place, taking time. Do you ever take into that account?
not usually. I mean, I'll take into account when I like the wind or the weather for some reason, and I'll be like, oh, like it's just a coincidence that they happen to be playing
Yeah.
together. I do think sometimes people will have more comfortable or less comfortable pairings, but it's not something that I'll go out of my way to necessarily find. I think Zalatoris and Bryson will play well together. They both use a similar strategic
Yeah.
approach, which is the Scott Fawcett system, decade system, which is all about essentially a lot of it's about taking on risk off the tee
Right.
and taking on risk where it suits your game. But regardless, I think they'll be good together. I think they'll play well together.
That can't be true, is it? Will Z dated Bryson's cousin, so they should be. I can't confirm that.
I don't know if that'll make it better or worse. Who
There
knows?
are some that are like, okay, they're buddies. They're gonna
We
play.
need more info on did they break up well? Was it a bad
But
breakup?
like the Sergio
Um,
Niemans, the like if they're like buddies or I don't know. I kind of like
but then sometimes I also think that can work against it. So one of the things I am basing this on is Max Homa was talking about how like I think he had spoken about this a while ago. That's like sometimes you don't want to be playing with your buddies because like you're doing your professional golfer thing.
right.
You're not doing like you're out with buddies playing around a golf thing. So sometimes that might get in the way. But I think it also like it depends on what the friendship is, what all that
Yeah.
is. Because if you're friends and you're like buddy, I just gotta do my thing,
Yeah.
then like I don't think we would have problems because I would have no problem telling you to just shut
The
up and let me
friend
do
on
my
the car
thing.
trip, on the road trip that's talking too much, you're like, man, let's just throw music. Like, it's enough. We got 8 more hours. Let's just go. Like,
Yeah,
silence is
yeah, yeah,
golden.
yeah.
uh,
Uh,
I think that's it for me. Anything else to add, Craig?
I could talk about Rory more if we want.
Let's not talk about Rory. Let's not talk about Zalatoris. I think that
So someone had mentioned DJ. I think DJ is a good play. It just is, what do you want to spend for it? That's the one thing I struggle with because I think Rory and JT show so much value in the nines that I just have a hard time getting up there for DJ or Rom right now.
see.
Um,
I think if you can grab any of those elite stars for under 10%, I mean, you don't know what kind of like Bryson today. What a round by Bryson! Like, if you can get them and be completely contrarian to the field, yeah.
mhm. Like maybe Xander because Xander had a very quiet round today.
Xander, Rom, burned a lot of people. I'm not saying I'm going there, but
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's interesting
But I think,
sort of game
and
theory.
that's to me where with those top guys, it is all about ownership. If you can get those highly owned guys at low ownership, then
Yeah,
take
yeah,
shots.
yeah. Okay, let's call it there. Thank you everybody for watching. Good luck tomorrow. We got an earlier tee time, so make sure you get your lineups in. I thought you were going to say something there, Kurt, but
No, I got nothing to say. Good luck. Yeah, pay attention to the Puerto Rico Open. That's where the money is, it looks like. And yeah, let's win some money tomorrow. And we'll see you guys tomorrow night.
yeah, take care. Good luck.
See you guys.